Warning, the following content may contain spoilers, and at least 2 other personalities. Se recomienda la discreción del espectador.
Hello, everybody. The personality inhabiting this body is Joe.
And, Sean in this one, I think.
And today we're going to be talking about Moonknight. It came out on Disney Plus, and the series is done, so we're just going to finally do what we said we were going to do and give our thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through the whole series and a little bit of backstory with him. The year is 1975. Steven Spielberg is killing people with a great white, and Tim Curry is singing about being a Transylvanian. And in August of 1975, that I've already said twice, I already screwed this up.
It's alright.
Moonknight made his debut appearance in Werewolf by Night number 32 by Doug Moench. Munch? I'm going to go with Moench. And was an on and off character throughout comics, meeting characters like the Hulk, Spider-Man, and the Defenders, to name a few, and didn't get his first set of comics until August of 1980. Also written by Doug Moench. Yep, a whole 5 years. So, and that's pretty much all the extent of the original Moonknight that I've went into. As the MCU tends to do, they always take a little bit of the source material. Actually, for this one, I would say they're pretty authentic from everything you told me and everything that I've kind of seen.
As much as I've seen about Moonknight, and because I've not gone much into him myself either, so as much as I have seen about him, then yeah, it looked pretty close to, you know, a good version, like the MCU version is.
Yeah, however someone like Moonknight would be represented.
Yeah.
It was a 6-part series, as they usually are. Usually
Wasn't
6,
long
7.
enough.
Yeah, it wasn't long enough. Could have probably benefited from an extra episode.
Or two.
So we're just going to go through each one individually and talk about just some of the plot points with it and what we thought and how we like it. Will we watch it again, maybe?
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's move on. The first episode was the goldfish problem, a real Steven focus. This is where we are introduced to Stephen Grant. I guess you could call one of them, I guess not just say guess, but one of the main characters of the show. And we just are shown how, he's a loser. Pretty much.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's, I shouldn't say he's a loser so much as he is someone that life just loves to kick in the balls.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Like, he's just a sorry... It's
sad.
bad. Yeah, he's sad. He's a sad person. Yeah. There we go. That's a much more good way to put it. But then one night, I should mention, he also suffers from sleeping problems. Mm-hmm. And one of those sleeping problems, actually, he wakes up in the middle of a field and he starts hearing voices in his head.
Oh, yeah.
And is the first of mention of Mark.
Yep.
Who the hell's Mark? Who knows? Anyways, he sees someone up in a tower, and they wave at him, and then they immediately start shooting at him. I kind of like that bit.
Yeah, right?
It's like, hi? What am I doing?
Yeah, that was a interesting bit there. Just, you know, kind of introducing you to one of Mark's personalities.
Yeah.
Instead of introducing you to Mark first.
Yeah, it definitely shows that Steven was, for all sake and purpose, the normal one. Though being sad, his life was just every day. It was normal. He worked at the gift shop, and that's just what he did. He had a goldfish.
Yeah.
And so moving on is when we're introduced to Ethan Hawke's character, Arthur Harrow.
Yep.
Who I know nothing about this. I tried looking him up a little bit, and I think it's safe to say that Harrow is, or in the MCU, is their own creation. A little bit. Like, they took some stuff from him, but all in all, though, it's their version of Arthur Harrow, it looks like, at least, was pretty much their version of it. Which is what they've kind of done before. Yeah. And they tend to stay more comic accurate with it, but, I mean, he was a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
And so then we move on, and we go into this really cool chase scene where Steven is trying to drive away in a cupcake van and just blacks out, and then just all of a sudden, like, there was a guy in the van before, and he blacks out, and he comes to, and all of a sudden the guy that was going to kill him is now dead in the back of the cupcake van and falls out. And then it just like goes on and off from there, and it was actually really clever.
I liked it. I did like that. I liked how they did that. It was kind of signifying, Steven doesn't know what the hell's going on when the other personality takes over. So.
Yeah, and we hear a lot from Khonshu, which was definitely a comic bit. It was the MCU saying, "It was like, yeah, we're still a superhero show."
Yeah.
And but then at the end of it, he wakes up in his bed, so he thinks, of course, all that crazy shit is just a dream, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting for a first episode, at least.
One thing that's good with this show, it plays with you, like especially in episode 4, where it just shows like you're not sure if it's real or not. So it just goes back and forth.
Gotcha.
So moving on from there, it's turns out though what Steven thought was a dream, he's actually missing 3 days of his life, for he has a dead goldfish. He missed his date, and apparently went to a store the day before and is arguing with the shop owner.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun life.
Yeah, no, just more
losing days does not sound fun at all.
Yeah, just more shit that just another kick in the balls.
Oh yeah.
And then it's actually then when Steven finds, just stuff in his apartment's been moved around, and he finds his phone, and that's when he speaks to Layla for the first time, and then is brought up Mark again. Mm-hmm. So that's when I think around then is when he can really say he confirmed that, oh shit, that wasn't a dream.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then afterwards, we get our first Khonshu appearance. Like, let me just add something that I've said about this before when I first saw this. If you're telling someone who is the equivalent of a already frightened kitten, and you tell them to stop looking, and just shaking shit around the apartment, I don't think he's gonna stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not handling this situation professionally at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
So, but then, he wakes up on the bus thinking that's a dream, but then we get, Khonshu on the street. He gets off, and Harrow was on the bus, apparently missing him by a few seconds or something. Mm-hmm. And that's when Harrow finds him in the museum. Turns out, it's not a good idea to tell a supervillain what your day job is, because he'll find you there and try to judge you.
Yeah.
But of course, the judging doesn't work because of question mark reasons.
Yeah, his scales aren't balanced.
And as soon as Steven gets the chance, he just yeets on out of there.
Yep. He's gone.
Now, what's good about this first episode, or at least at this part, is it keeps drawing up the mystery of it.
Yeah, it had a lot of attention grabbers throughout it, with Harrow just basically disintegrating that... Was it an old
that old lady who just said she hadn't done anything bad her entire life, and it's like, well, it's maybe something you would have done.
Yeah, and it's just gone, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's
I like watching the series now. It's very, her rules don't really make any sense. You're just a cult member, really. Yeah. So, anyways, moving on from there. So, as Steven continues with his job, he actually gets attacked as the museum closes by a jackal who forces him into a bathroom and actually confronts Mark, and actually a really cool scene.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it was really well written. I like that.
Yeah, and just telling him, just you can get out of this, just give me control, and he ultimately does. Mm-hmm. And then we get our first appearance of Moonknight just beating the hell out of this jackal, and it's obviously the Werewolf by Night reference.
Yeah, kinda. I mean,
it's not a wolf man, but come on, it's a jackal.
He doesn't.
It's a dog humanoid.
Overall, he doesn't fight Werewolf by Night either, though. He joins up with him to fight the bad guys that he was hired by to fight him. So
I know nothing about that. I just know they call him Wolfman or Werewolf or something like that.
He's a jackal.
Well, whatever. Either way, so they were giving their own, tip of the hat version of it. And honestly, the first episode does what any good first episode should do, and it's a grabber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're curious to see what goes on. You know, who's Mark? Why is this happening to Steven, who is just this normal guy?
They kind of set the expectations high for it, and they kind of flopped later on, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. So we move on to the next episode, where again Steven wakes up and he thinks just the jackal was a dream.
Yep.
Because of course, why not? Why wouldn't he think that he's crazy, even though it's the second episode and we all know that he's not crazy right now, at least. And he goes to the museum and everybody just thinks he's crazy. Because he's going to show video of like this big-ass jackal attacking, and it's just showing just Steven.
Yeah, no one can actually see the jackal, right?
Yeah, no one could see the jackal, but it was another thing where Steven just went in and he was, or quote-unquote Steven, it was actually Mark, who just made it look like Steven just did everything. Mm-hmm. So everybody thinks Steven's crazy, and ultimately he goes back, and he did this in the first episode, and I forgot to write it down. He goes to the Golden Statue Man, a.k.a. Crawley.
Yeah.
That's who Crawley is. Crawley in the comics is someone that, I don't want to say Alfred. Because he wasn't Alfred, but he did, like, he would tell him, like, he was kind of an informant for Moonknight, I guess.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
So, but it was like something like a confidant he could talk to. So it was a nice little nod to see him in both those bits as a statue man, because I'm sure that dude just made bank for just sitting there, and why not
doing nothing, right?
Yeah, right. So, and ultimately he realizes that he's not crazy, and he goes to find the evidence because he has some evidence of what's going on, and he goes into the storage locker, where he finally confronts Mark, and Mark tells him what's going on. He tells him that he is an avatar of Khonshu. And that he needs to stop, interfering with all this. And Steven, just gives him the finger pretty much and starts running out of the unit, the storage unit. And then we get our first, or not our first bit, like our second bit of horror elements, where Khonshu is just kind of chasing Steven in the storage unit, and ultimately just tells him to give it back. And it was actually pretty frightening, like the visuals and everything they're doing. It was straight out of a horror movie, pretty much. Like if Mark were just or Steven were just like a blonde, he'd be dead.
Yeah, yeah, he would have been done.
But then finally, Steven, as he escapes through the storage unit, he manages to run into Layla, who doesn't believe him being Steven. She thinks he's just Mark just being stupid and undercover or whatever. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it's Steven at their flat where he just tries to get to know her, tries to see what she knows about Mark, and ultimately just how Mark is a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
I mean, he's a dick with good intentions, but he kind of handled that poorly. But then ultimately, before, he could convince Layla that he was actually, Steven and not Mark, Steven gets arrested.
So, we're going to summarize everything, or?
We're going to summarize, yeah, okay. Pretty much.
I mean, we should give some warning beforehand.
Well, you know what?
We are going full summary today.
Well, we're going full summary. We're giving that review, and I'm giving that review.
All right.
And that spoiler warning at the. I'm sure I'll put it the intro of this video.
Better.
I will put it, but I just don't know what voice I'm going to do for it. So, anyways, Steven gets arrested by some of these Interpol. I think it was Interpol. It was one of those. Some form of law enforcement, and finds out that Mark was just this mercenary who pretty much is not a good guy. And as it turns out, they're not good people either, because they were Harrow's men.
Yeah, Harrow's got a lot of people following him.
Yeah, the cult. It was another thing, another show of Harrow, just that his cult is pretty much everywhere. And it was another good viewing of him. But what was cool about this was it was showed that Harrow was, as he was talking to Steven, he was more like trying to comfort him, really trying to get him on his side. Mm-hmm. And now that comes with the whole conversation where if you had a time machine and you go back to when Hitler was a baby, would you kill baby Hitler?
Probably.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So even though the baby is innocent and hasn't done anything, but will do something in the future that justifies that argument?
Yeah, sure.
Well, shit. I guess you're a good follower of Amit then.
I mean,
but yeah,
it's
that
extreme case though. Like, it's a matter.
Yeah, but
that
I mean, that's what
Amit
was. That's what Amit was doing. She was eradicating the choice of evil, and there's no real trying to justify it at all. There's no gray area. It's like if you're either a good person who won't do anything bad your entire life, or you're evil, aka.
There was a gray area. There's Steven. He's gray area.
Right, there was the chaos, which he couldn't be judged.
Yep.
And ultimately, Steven is just like, gives it that argument. It was like, I'm not going to kill a baby because, it's a baby, even though, it takes away the choice. It gives them where everyone is given the right of choice. You can be evil or you can be good. The choice is yours, but be aware of what, the whole thing there. So Harrow obviously doesn't like that answer, and Layla appears right as he is about to kill her. Kill him. And he summons another jackal. I was a little disappointed. I thought he was going to...
Yeah.
I thought they were going to throw another just like a mythical creature at him again. It was just another jackal. But I mean, you didn't really see the fight with the first jackal. So I mean, I guess that was kind of their makeup. And then,
I guess,
and then it's the introduction of the Mr. Knight suit, aka Steven suit, which is just a straight up suit.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous. It's pretty funny though.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because it just adds more character to Steven and Mark, because Mark uses the ceremonial armor, the Batman suit of the mummy Batman suit, pretty much. And then just while Steven's using it, he uses the Mr. Knight suit because it's a suit. They say, summon the suit. Okay, I summoned the suit. This is why you gotta be careful with your words.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, ultimately, Steven and Layla try to fight the jackal, but this is when you can realize, okay, you can't see, normal people can't see the mythical godlike creatures. Or magical creatures. There we go.
Magical creatures.
Magical creatures.
Trying to think of what we were gonna call them.
Yeah, right. I was having a hard time with that. It ultimately gives control back to Mark, and Mark as deals with the jackal in that Moon Knight fashion of running, getting that shot into the moon, and stabbing the jackal on a big ass needle.
Yeah.
And as he sees he's in control now. He keeps control, kind of just sidewinding Steven. And we end the episode with him talking to Khonshu and him ending up in Cairo.
Yeah.
So watching that the second time, I didn't realize that Mark blacks out from when he has the conversation with Khonshu at the end, and then when he ends up in Cairo.
Oh, does he?
I'm pretty sure, because they don't show the in between. So I mean, you would kind of just assume, and his room's just kind of a wreck. And he's just got like liquor bottle or whatever, and he gets up. Well, you know how that goes. Yeah. And so I guess technically that would be the if I'm right. I could be wrong, but I think that was the first Jake reference. Now, who Jake is a third personality that lives in Mark.
Yep, one of many.
One of many, but not Legion many, but many.
No, a lot.
So moving on, so this second episode, it did pick up. There was some slow bits a little bit, I think kind of with Layla. But I guess that was more establishing, as like Steven likes her. I mean, it was obvious what the fuck they were doing.
They're going to make a little inner
conflict,
love triangle.
He knows the poetry. It's her favorite poem.
Yeah,
come on.
It's cliche.
It's cliche, but yeah. I mean, but ultimately it was nice to see, again, this Mr. Knight suit. It was just funny to see Steven just still have those powers and still be, yeah, come on, you motherfucker, yeah. And still get his ass kicked because, of course, he doesn't know how to fight. But then, we get to see a little more of the Moon Knight. So there's a little bit of a theme there going that I've just realized as I'm reading off this in the show called Moon Knight.
Yep.
But before we go on to that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the third episode, The Friendly Type. Actually, before we move on to that, Sean, what were your thoughts on the second episode?
It's more of the same from the first episode, kind of built up on it, setting the expectations for what the episodes and what the series is going to be, which went a completely different route than I expected because of what these first 2 episodes were. Overall, I liked it, though. I liked the first episode, second episode, I liked them a lot, and then around third episodes where it kind of changed for me and things started going a little different. I was like, oh, this is the route we're going instead.
Yeah, agree. So, I'm glad you said that. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the third episode now. The Friendly Type. So, in the beginning of this episode, we're just introduced to Layla talking to her, I don't know who the character is, I'm just going to call her her forger friend, who makes her a fake ID so that she can get back into Cairo, her home. And we get a scarab reference. Or she calls her the little scarab. I guess her dad would call her like her little scarab. Mm-hmm. And in the comics, I guess Layla is called the Scarlet Scarab later. I'm not sure if it's
kind of. It's so in the comics, her dad was Scarlet Scarab, and then they passed the powers on to his son.
Oh, okay.
The other Scarlet Scarab, but so she's taking place of the son, basically.
Okay, so they're just doing this.
Yeah, they're doing a kind of gender swap, which is fine. Okay. They made it the love interest of Moon Knight, which works for this purpose.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And then we cut into just Haro locates Amit's tomb. He finds it in Cairo. We're not wasting any time. Mm-hmm. Then we get this kind of just this fight bit where it's intercuts between Steven and Mark, where Mark is trying to find Haro, where the dig site is, and he's dealing with these with Haro's cult members. Mm-hmm. But he blacks out, and then Steven just takes control, and he's like trying to get the fuck out of there. He's just trying to keep control of the body, which I mean I kind of get because just of the position that Mark left Steven in at the end of the second episode.
Yeah, he has no clue what Mark's gonna do. He's
as far as
give it back, he's like, "This is mine. You cannot have it back."
Yeah, as far as Steven's aware, that's his body. Mm-hmm. Mark is just a murderer.
Yep.
And Khonshu is a fucking scary ass demon bird that does not know how to say please. Mm-hmm. But moving on though, so. It's both, at one point, they both black out, and just Haro's men are pretty much just 2 out of 3 are dead and bloody, and one of them's just trying to crawl away, getting the fuck away from them. And neither of them knows what's going on, except we know, because that has to be, or at least a hint at, Jake.
Yeah, and it probably definitely was.
Yeah,
Jake.
It was. And for sure, more than likely was Jake.
I mean, they never said for sure, but I mean, come on. It was Jake.
Yeah.
From State Farm.
Why would both of them deny it at this point? The stupid thing is, why would Mark think Steven were capable of that?
Like, Steven was
Steven, did you do this?
Guy
no
time, right?
Yeah, it's super weird. So, but obviously they all die, so now they lost track of where the tomb is. So they come up with a plan B, and we are introduced to the Ennead, which is the Egyptian gods in the Marvel comics.
Yep, the Egyptian pantheon.
Because there's always a group of something doing somewhere, and this is one of them.
We've got the Egyptian gods. We've got the Norse gods.
The Norse gods, yeah. We're coming up with Greece.
Yeah, Greek gods are coming in Love and Thunder. Who knows what else we'll get in that one.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. Shiva...
Well, we're gonna
Yahweh,
get them all eventually, probably.
No.
No.
I mean, if it goes that long, it probably, and they finally get the rights. Oh, fuck, who knows? Anyways, so, but ultimately, they kind of put all their eggs a little bit in this basket to convince the Ennead that Haro is trying to release Amit. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Haro is a smooth son of a bitch that convinces the gods that Mark and Khonshu are crazy.
All right, time out real quick. I think you keep making the camera shake a lot by kicking the table and stuff. Continue.
Right. Yeah, I'll just move my seat a little bit. But yeah, so ultimately the plan backfires, and but one of the gods, I forget who it was. It was a friend. She's the avatar of one of Khonshu's friends or whatever. Anyways, she pretty much says, okay, but if you want to look for the tomb, try looking for Sofu, oh shit, where did I have it? Senfu sarcophagus.
Senfu sarcophagus.
Our new MacGuffin to go searching for, and ultimately, but at least now they have something so they can at least start looking for it. And we're given this boat where it's just this moment between Mark and Layla, and we're given just this more character development. It was definitely a very big slowdown.
Oh yeah, the episodes they kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
flatlined for a little bit.
For like an action show, like I get what they were doing, and it's fine, but it slowed down a little too much, just too much. But then ultimately we get to our destination, where we are introduced to Anton Mogar, and in the comics he is Midnight Man, and in this episode he is played by Gaspard Ulliel.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace, and hopefully I said that right. I don't know, I doubt it. He's French.
Unfortunately, right after filming, he passed away in a tragic ski accident, I believe, so I'm sure they had more plans to use him and whatnot, but unfortunately, life decided we don't get Midnight Man.
Right, and then the dog barks. And there was another Madripoor reference because I don't know, I'm just obsessed with them mentioning Madripoor because I heard that's where Wolverine hung out a lot. And I just decided to write that down. But as they try to look at the sarcophagus, Harrow comes up and plants the seed of... wait, was that this one? Oh, yeah. He comes up to Midnight Man and ultimately just tells them, don't trust them, they're stupid, and they lied to you, and I am truthful even though we just met.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he was, technically. He's a master manipulator.
Oh, yeah.
Janet, you gonna do this again?
Once an episode, folks.
Once an episode. And then we get the big fight scene where it's Mark becomes the Moon Knight once again, and he fights all of the Midnight Man. Now, he's not called Midnight Man in this, I should say. I'm just calling him Midnight Man because that's what he is in the comics.
They might have killed him in the show, too.
I think they did.
Yeah, they threw...
It was a sloppy death, but I think they did.
Did they show the body, though?
No, but they showed him get hit with the Moonerang.
Yep.
Or whatever the fuck the Moon Dagger.
We're going to call it the Moonerang.
The Moonerang? Yeah. We'll call it the Moonerang.
Yeah.
So he threw the Moonerang at him, and he kind of like slumps over into the fog, and he is never to be seen again. So I'm sure that was their attempt at leaving the door open. Now they could do something with him. Just because the character passed away doesn't mean the character in the show is necessarily dead, but I doubt it now.
No, I don't think they're gonna...
So moving on, say they ultimately find... we get our first shot of the Moon Knight and his moon cape!
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was cool. The crescent moon cape.
Because, I mean, this is Batman.
I mean, how... Just thinking about the shape of that cape, how did he fly? How did it work?
It's magic, baby.
Moon magic.
It's Batman moon magic.
Batman moon magic.
I'm sorry. The dude's a mystical Batman.
He's not an orphan, though. I mean, Batman's not really an orphan either.
We'll get to that.
Anyways, that's a different subject.
We'll get to that. So ultimately, Moon Knight defeats them, and they end up in the desert because they need to get... They figure out the puzzle. That they need to see the set of stars that happened 2,000 years ago, but stars gradually move very slowly, bit by bit, over years. So obviously they can't do that. But because Khonshu is the god of the night and vengeance, he is able to control the night and bring back that night sky of that night 2,000 years ago in a really cool scene with Steven in the Mr. Knight suit.
That was actually a really cool scene. I really liked that. And then, now, does DC have a copyright on the word vengeance yet? Because every time you say it, I think of Batman.
No, they don't, because you can't say that. But you see...
you said the god of vengeance. I'm like, Batman.
Ryder did
vengeance.
It. Ryder did it, man. And they said he's saying vengeance a lot in that whole goddamn show.
He did. He really did. That's true.
So ultimately, this pisses off the Ennead, the Egyptian gods, because Khonshu had already caused an eclipse before, and they already warned him to cut this shit out, and ultimately they just seal him up into this Ushabti, which is like a little just statuette type thing, real Egyptian looking thing.
It's cool. It's just a statue of Khonshu.
Yeah, it's just a statue of Khonshu, and then we see the Ennead just talking to Harrow, just saying, he left us no choice. Please, come. We know you were wrongly accused of this. Like, wait!
How do you know?
First of all, why is it that the gods don't even know where Amit's buried? Like, don't you think y'all should know? And secondly, y'all just gonna trust this motherfucker? There's no gonna be, like, someone checking? There's like, hey, maybe we should have, like, one of our dudes just comb over the desert real quick and just make sure, But,
I mean, Khonshu was a loose cannon, so they just like, fuck that guy, he crazy.
I mean, yeah, ultimately. I mean, that's the problem with being a dick.
He's just Crazy Earl in the trailer park, He was like, every once in a while, he's right, though. Crazy Earl's right every once in a while, but,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And ultimately, but Harrow just tells him that because you broke me, it's because I wouldn't be able to know, I wouldn't be able to find this path of redemption.
If that's what he wants to call it.
I mean, he's a cult leader.
Yeah.
It's always that shit. So, they had already mentioned in the second, or they hit, well, no, he said he was his avatar before Mark, which, I guess he really fucked that dude up.
Yeah, he did something to him. He probably, in the comics, I know at one point there's a story where Khonshu tries to break Mark's mind completely to take control of him. But
I believe it.
Maybe he did the same thing doing the same thing to Harrow.
Yeah, I think so.
He's very manipulative. He's not a nice god. He's
no,
like,
Khonshu's a dick.
He's like, hey, here's some powers, but I'm gonna be a complete asshole the entire time.
Yeah, no, he is a straight up dick with a capital dick.
Nope. I don't know what that means, but nope.
It's to say he's a dick. That's what to say it is.
He is.
But ultimately, this was kind of... It did have some cool parts. Like, it was cool seeing the Ennead, and it was cool seeing him, like, manipulate the sky with, with Mr. Knight, Steven, suit and all that. But this one was the real... Just like with the Midnight Man... Or with, Midnight Man stuff... And in between there, pretty much in between when Mark leaves the Ennead and when it gets to that stargazing scene where it's just a little... It drags a little bit. I'd say, okay, maybe not the stargazing, maybe the battle. Yeah. Because at least the battle, we got some decent, cool bits where Mr. Knight just got impaled by like 6 spears. And he's fine. I was like, oh, well, you got that one over Batman. I'll give you that.
Yeah, right?
I'm pretty sure Batman can't get stabbed like that.
Has Batman been stabbed by a spear?
What the fuck hasn't been happened? He got obliterated by Darkseid's eyes, and instead of dying, he got like half a death, and then his other half got like sent to fucking prehistoric times. I read that was a weird comic.
Is that where he gets stabbed by a spear, probably?
Actually, yeah, probably. But they use that later in the Dark Knight series. But that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, yeah, no.
So ultimately, episode 3 was probably my least favorite.
Yeah, it was a big slowdown.
Yeah, it was just too slow for me, and I get why, but it didn't click. Didn't click.
The next episode kind of followed that tone a little bit. It was pretty slow of an episode.
Yeah, so because Khonshu was imprisoned, Mark no longer has access to the Moonknight suit. He no longer has the power or the healing. He is now a normal man.
So now it's called
with
Mark.
Split personalities.
Mark and Steven's Wacky Adventures.
Yep, it's Mark and Steven's Wacky Adventure. Can't wait for the platforming game. So with that, let's move on to episode number 4, titled The Tomb.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
And immediately shows just Khonshu being imprisoned because we already didn't see that last one, so we didn't know, obviously, and they just needed to remind you.
Yep, Khonshu's in jail.
Khonshu's in jail. And, like, Steven just, like, passes out after losing the suit, and just Layla... No, only one per show. And Layla just gets confronted by Harrow's men and ultimately deals with them. And it's just... The beginning of it is very slow.
Doesn't she kind of like join the cult a little bit somehow?
Yeah, that's in another. That's a little bit of the later. Later bit. So Jaina, come on, quiet.
Man, we told you one per episode.
This is Jaina. You make it hard for me to have you in the audience. I'm trying to be professional here, and
Do you not see the quiet sign?
The quiet sign's up. Now you're getting on the stage. Anyways, so at the beginning of this episode, it's very slow. But it's very character-driven, but it's very slow for, a show called Moonknight.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it kind of has to be. Because now we're at the point where Steven, or they're both regular, or he's just a regular man, but they end up finding Amit's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And then but the encampment is just empty, which is just weird. At first, they're kind of looking at it, just going it's fine. They're just all searching the tomb or whatever. But then you get a little bit of hints of they're not just searching the tomb.
No.
There's a bloody pickaxe and then they go into the tomb and they figure out how the whole thing's set up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're introduced to this mummy zombie guardian of the tomb.
He didn't do much.
No, he didn't do much, but then the episode, again, it takes a real horror movie vibe turns.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, Steven and Layla get separated. So, and you would imagine what happens. Layla actually is the one who has to cross this big chasm and is the one who deals with the zombie in a really creepy-ass scene where it just straight out of a horror movie, where the mummy zombie just grabs her and brings her into this fucking darkness.
Okay, I remember. Yeah,
it's even creepier because she tries to get out and it just pulls her in again because you gotta have that shit.
Yep.
Ultimately, she beats it and throws it over into the endless grotto, and then she gets confronted with Harrow. And Harrow tells her, being the smooth operator that son of a bitch is, he pretty much tells her, hey, maybe you should question Mark. Maybe he knows more about your papa's death.
Yep.
And ultimately, while this is happening, Steven and Mark find the sarcophagus of Alexander the Great. And, so Layla catches up with them, and she's being dumb and decides, hey, we need to talk about this personal business, even though we're being hunted by, at this point, mummies and cult members.
Possibly jackals still.
Possibly jackals. Yeah, I know. He could have summoned another jackal to deal with them. So no. Let's have this personal moment right now, even though the world's at stake.
Great timing, Layla.
Yeah, and ultimately, what happens is Harrow catches up and shoots Mark.
Yep.
He kills him.
Yeah.
Mark is dead, quote unquote.
Until I mean, he is dead.
Yeah, he is dead. Until we show our scene that we show up in a asylum. An insane asylum that shows everybody, all the cast from the prior episodes, from Crowley to Midnight Man's guard, because I guess I don't know if that was if that wasn't planned to have that actor in there or not.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was thinking maybe they had plans to throw him in those scenes too, but
yeah, but then it had a Donna in there, and she was talking shit because she's a bitch, and. She is. This
is where it took a real interesting turn in the show, and see where people got confused with this. That was a major complaint with when I was looking through reviews and overall what other people thought.
Well, that's because it was playing again, or at least with this one, it was playing with it more in the first episode, but then it was playing with your expectations. This one, making it seem like, oh yeah, Mark's just crazy.
Yeah.
Everything he's envisioned, everything that's been going on has just been a product of his environment.
So, especially for the majority of the fans who get the majority of their Marvel knowledge from the MCU only, which there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
That's what they want.
That's where you were introduced. That's what you know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
That this part might have confused them a little bit, and that's where a majority I've seen a lot of complaints about there was the confusion in that and the confusion in the existence of Jake.
Yes. So, and moving on a little bit, Harrow is actually a psychiatrist, a.k.a. Dr. Ned Flanders.
Yep, highly do.
Because the dude, seriously, if Fox or, Saturday Night Live or whoever needs to make just a spoof, you got your Ned Flanders.
He already worked for Disney, and Simpsons is Disney now. So,
but seriously, like you all need to get your people together. Like Ethan Hawke, I hope you got a sense of humor because we need you for this.
Badly dilly.
Like I'm thinking John Wick, Ned Flanders.
Can't we leave Flanders alone? That man's been through enough.
Yeah, because he's got such a dark past.
He's been through so much.
So, anyways, now we're at the point where we're really questioning, is this real or is this not? And Mark ultimately just runs out of Dr. Harrow's office and runs into a sarcophagus. Mm-hmm. And in the sarcophagus was Steven. Yep. Now we're seeing both Mark and Steven with their own individual bodies.
This was where it kind of got real interesting.
Yes.
They were really just showing them next to each other. And the way they filmed it was just... I love the way that they filmed it. They had Oscar Isaac's brother just kind of stand in for the other side. So when he's having the conversations, it was just kind of like a natural conversation still. Because, ma'am...
It's like 4.
Yep. He would say his lines, and then his brother would say whoever, like if he was Steven at that point, he'd say Steven's line. So they'd have that conversation still, so that's what made it look more smooth. Is he was actually talking to someone, and then movie magic.
Yeah, I mean, just throughout, Oscar Isaac's performance as both Mark and Steven, and the ability to just go on and off of both of those is very impressive. Like Oscar Isaac's a great actor.
Oh yeah, that was really good. He did really good in this, and this really showed what he can do.
Yeah. So we move on, or Steven and Mark run off to go look for something, but then we're shown a shot of, and I didn't realize this, of a third sarcophagus that was shaken about. I didn't realize it was shaken about either, so I didn't realize
thrashing about.
Yeah, so of course it's Jake. It's another Jake reference. Yeah. Because, of course, and I'm wondering why the hell they didn't open it.
Because they didn't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
They didn't know that they needed a third guy.
That's weird. But they were like me. They didn't realize that was another different sarcophagus.
They saw a shaking thing that's supposed to hold dead bodies, and they know that
I'm just saying, Mark opened that one.
But he heard Steven inside of it, though.
Oh, yeah, he might have heard Steven. But then, as they're running, we get right before the credits hit, we are introduced to Tawaret.
Oh yeah, that was
the big hippo god, CGI hippo god, and then
CGI-ish. Apparently, it was a full costume too.
Yeah, so I'll have to look that up. I'm curious if they did. I've seen now they kind of with costumes. They have this bit where I forget what the name of it. I think it was called Mother. It was a guy. It was a combination of a costume and CGI.
Yeah.
So like they did like a person in the costume to do like the movements and everything, but they used CGI to cover up all like the the non-costume. The joints and everything, and
make
all
it
that.
More smooth.
Yes. And I really like that because one problem with CGI in the early days was they wouldn't really throw an actor there or anything. A lot of the times, if you were lucky, you would just get like a tennis ball and just go, act against this big-ass dragon. Go! Act the dragon!
So yeah, they did a lot of interesting things to, counter that there.
Yeah, so the fourth episode, I was going to say it was on par with the third episode.
Yeah.
I would say the beginning part of that was more on par of it, and I'd say the first third, actually. Because then once it turns into that kind of horror movie element, and then it just kind of keeps going, and you're more intrigued a little bit by it, with that one dumb bit where Layla keeps them back there and gets Mark shot.
Yep. Now, is the hippo a good guy? Is the hippo a bad guy? We don't know.
They're just both screaming at it.
Yep,
so.
they just, hippo! Woo!
It says hi, so maybe
it says
good.
Hi, very, very friendly.
Yeah, very friendly.
You can trust a hippo.
Very friendly humanoid hippo.
I heard hippopotamuses are one of the friendliest creatures in nature.
Oh yeah.
Don't quote me on that though.
Oh yeah, they're very friendly in Dark Souls 2. The humanoid hippo things. They don't crush you to death at all.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I enjoyed the last 2/3 of it. That horror movie element. We're getting closer and closer to have fucking Punisher.
Oh yeah.
Disney's been toying, especially with Doctor Strange that we saw, and we'll talk about in another episode. They are getting super ready to go into to bring. I don't want to say real world into it. They're not afraid to say death. They're not afraid to show a body. They're not afraid at all.
Oh no, yeah, they're getting ready they're preparing people for what's
I think
coming.
because I think they've also realized that even at the beginning of Marvel, the audience for the most part has begun to mature.
And they're used up most of their robot bad guys. So
Now we're like, and they have the Luke Cage, Daredevil, and all the Netflix properties. So and it seems like they're going to be using them. So it's going to be good. I don't see any reason why we're not going to get the Punisher. But moving on from that,
hippos are very aggressive. Just in case someone believes us, no, they're very aggressive.
All right. So, but now we're going on to episode 5 titled "The Asylum," which obviously you would have to start.
This episode I actually enjoyed and had some real interesting moments and real just emotional moments throughout.
Yeah. Speaking of dark, this was definitely a dark episode, but it was another character.
A common theme I noticed, but we'll get there once we get to there.
But again, it was another character's story. So at this point, Steven and Mark are presumably dead. So at the beginning of this episode, we start right at where Tawanet or they're screaming, and then it just cuts to Mark being back in Dr. Harrow's office.
Yep.
So already the episode is playing with you just more and more, just going as like, what is sense, what is nonsense.
Yep.
And then immediately we cut back to Mark and Steven, and Tawaret officially informs them that congratulations, you're dead.
Yep.
Because I forget what her title is. Tawaret is like the god of children, and
she's the usher to the underworld.
Yeah, she's the usher to the underworld, and pretty much she informs them that they're dead. But this is also where we get our reference that there's more than one underworld. So there's all the religions are confirmed. I guess.
Yeah, this is where we get the Black Panther,
the ancestral plane reference. Yeah,
that was a good shout out there. The ancestral.
Yeah, it was
plane.
a nice little shout out,
Hopefully.
especially for Jaina if she stops barking.
Hopefully,
you're gonna get your pass taken.
King T'Challa in the ancestral planes. May he also rest.
May he also rest in peace. God damn it, we're losing.
Yeah, we're losing too many Marvel guys.
First Black Panther, now Midnight Man. It's a hell of a day. So, anyways, then she informs them that you guys, if you're gonna pass on to the field of reeds, that you need to get pretty much your hearts balanced. Yeah. And she takes out both of their metaphorical hearts and places them on the scales of whatever the fucking Egyptian reference it is, and tells them that they're not balanced. That pretty much they need to go into the memories and just, confront their past so that they may rest.
Yep, and I thought this part was where they were going to really introduce Jake and be like, the reason you're not balanced is because you're missing the third part of your heart.
I also thought that because as soon as they go in to, confront the memories, the first room they enter is just this fucking, lunchroom filled with dead bodies that Mark immediately recognizes as all the people that he has killed.
Yep.
Which makes it even darker when Steven sees a little kid in the corner.
Yeah.
In this room of bodies that Mark has killed.
Yeah.
Oh, boy!
We don't even know if any of those were Jake's.
Yeah, right?
Did Jake even have... No, Jake's room was the next floor down.
No, I know. Jake is the fucking sub-basement, which is on par with the fucking catacombs of Paris.
Yeah.
And just... So, anyways, he chases the body, and we're introduced... we see Mark's family as when they were young, when he was a kid, and how he had his mother, his father, and his brother, Roro.
Oh, Roro.
Oh, Roro. Poor little Roro. You didn't Roro enough out of that cave.
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, that was even dark for me. God
so
damn.
Sorry. I'm so
That
sorry.
was a little...
That was bad.
That was a little... I'm going to pray on that one.
Anyway.
So anyways... So anyways, Mark and Roro go explore a cave that unfortunately a storm hits them and the cave fills up with water and Roro drowns.
Oh, coming back to that common theme. What happened to Stephen Strange's sister?
Oh yeah, didn't she also? She
drowned.
Yeah, she drowned.
Disney's really into drowning kids right now.
Watch
your kids at Disneyland,
yeah,
guys.
Don't watch it, especially in fucking just in the world of Disney because they got crocodiles.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, and ultimately, it's just we cut to another scene of I'm assuming Roro's funeral, and Mama has taken a very, very dark path. Yeah, she hates Mark now.
Oh yeah, she absolutely hates him.
She blames him.
And now he's a young kid. We don't know exactly how young he is yet. On to the next scene.
We don't know how young he is, but it's pretty much Mom's not taking it, and she's taking it out on Mark.
Oh yeah, she does not like him at all. She's a terrible woman.
Yeah, it's not all that great.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, like I said, darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, this got dark and emotional, real.
Yeah, but we're showing more of what Mark's, his circumstances were and what's happened. And one of the times where Mark is just trying to, just not confront this, he actually like pushes Steven, and then we're shown to the
birth of Steven?
No, not the birth of Steven. The field where Layla's father was. Okay. Where Layla's father was killed in the mercenaries, where Bushman pretty much betrayed everybody, got greedy.
That's right. Okay.
And where Mark pretty much is gonna die in Khonshu's tomb, becomes Khonshu's avatar,
which was almost shot for comic book panel for that scene, which was really good.
I'm so glad Kevin Feige is who he is for this, because there are so many just fucking...
Did we talk about the birthday scene already?
No, I haven't talked about the birthday
scene. Is that coming
up? It's just I said the bit where his mom hates her because god damn it, that shit gets bad.
At the birthday scene, you can count the candles on that cake. They expected their goddamn 9-year-old kid to watch that other kid in the middle of the wilderness and then blamed him for his death. He was like 9.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you're not even old enough to make decisions.
Yeah,
yet.
No, it's some dark shit.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, we cut back to the ship where they're on, with Tawaret's ship, and it's showing the sky is starting to rave with just souls that are getting judged.
Yep.
So Haru's pretty much beginning his attack. So she's telling them, all right, guys, we're getting to the gates of Osiris, aka the gates of life, so that you guys can come back. You need to get into that goddamn... You need to figure out your problems and come to terms with them, like, now.
Yep.
And they ultimately get back in there, and then we are shown the... where... right before they're shown it, Steven tries to tell Mark, we need to... convince him that we need to do this, but Mark's just super hesitant to do it because he doesn't want to confront it. And then we're cut again back into Dr. Harrow's office.
We were going all over the place with this episode.
Yeah, it cuts back and forth between the events, the Moonknight events, and then like the asylum, like Dr. Harrow's office. And it just plays with you, and what he's saying makes sense. It makes sense. It's hard to argue it.
Yeah, I was getting to a point where I thought it was going to legitimately end with him in just a crazy house. Like, oh hell, that's what they did with Moonknight? Hold on.
I know, right? And then ultimately it cuts back, and we are shown that how Steven was born, because on top of hating your son, I guess you might as well beat the ever-loving shit out of him as well. Mother of the Year, ladies and gentlemen.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Yeah, man. Okay. So pretty much Steven was made to cope with his mother's abuse.
And his brother's death.
Yeah, and his brother's death. Just,
the guilt.
He was a coping mechanism, pretty much.
Yeah, the guilt he had for his brother, it probably was multiplied with his mom just beating the crap out of him for it. And
everything. That's your fucking...
But... that was kind of also a possible setup if there is ever going to be a future Moon Knight for Shadow Knight.
Yeah, so Roro in the comics becomes Shadow Knight.
I don't know when. Don't know where. Don't know much about him. Apparently, he's got some moon
And they're going to
tech
get Oscar
face.
Isaac's brother to play him.
No, they're going to get Oscar Isaac to play him again.
Get him on 4 roles. Get him 4 different paychecks.
Jeez. He's already got
I
enough
wonder,
Disney
actually,
money with the Star Wars. And
there's a question. So, in voice acting, you get paid for every individual, or if you do it right, you can get paid for every individual voice you do. So I'm curious if that's what the case is with Oscar Isaac.
He's getting paid to be Steven. He's
getting paid.
Mark. He's getting paid
Jake.
for the end credit scenes.
Yeah, but you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Anyways, where were we?
So, anyways, they try to come in terms with it, but ultimately, Mark confesses that his mom, their mom, is barking over there in the non-barking. Jana, you're being a pain in the ass this episode. But their mom is dead. And Steven, at this point, how pretty much Steven gained control for a while was like Mark could not cope with it and just gave Steven control. And Steven thought that their mom was still alive. And now we cut into Dr. Harrow's office again.
Wait, that's something they never finished with, huh? Who the hell was he talking to on the phone when he was calling his mom?
He's just talking on the phone.
He wasn't talking to anyone.
No. He's leaving a message. Just
okay. I was just like, who the fuck is he talking to?
Yeah,
then?
no, I knew it was gonna be something like that.
I only watched it once. He watched it the second time for all
Yeah,
his
I watched it,
details.
rewatched it just for this, so I got the notes down. I got everything down. So they get out of the memories and they make it to the gates of Osiris, but they are not balanced. And so now the Duat, the underworld of the Egyptian, afterlife, will now claim their souls. And so pretty much Mark just tells Steven to just stay back and he would help them. And now all the people that Mark killed is now coming to get him and to drag him into the Duat.
Yep.
And then this is where Steven realizes anything Mark can do, he can do. Because they are both the same person, and it's just muscle memory at that point, which I'm glad he realized now, and ultimately tries to, help him. But ultimately sacrifices himself so that Steven falls over into the Duat and gets claimed by it. And then, as that happens, the scales are balanced, and then we get to the end credits we get to the scene where Mark is standing into the field of reeds, and then we cut.
Yeah,
Steven's
dead.
Yeah, so one thing, and I'm not sure of this, and I could be stretching, but they do play a Spanish song at the end there.
Huh. Never noticed that.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's another Jake reference.
Or it's just gonna be,
I don't know. I could be talking crazy right now.
I think you might be talking crazy if that.
I
think it might just be the song they chose.
You know how I know it could be crazy? Because I think it could be crazy. So, this one was definitely a step up. From episode 3 and 4. Like, I liked 4, as I said, those 2/3 before. But this one was I was more interested in everything that was happening. Because now we get to see, now we understand why Steven thought he was in control of the body. Why he thought he was the main person and Mark was the personality. But it was Mark who was the main person and Steven was the personality.
I only really
for the most dark-ass reasons Disney could do.
Yeah. I really only had one big issue with this episode. And that's knowing that episode 6 is the final episode because there's so much more that they needed to go over now and you're giving me one more episode.
Yeah, right. So speaking of that last episode, episode 6, Gods and Monsters. Now, the beginning of this episode begins with Harrow looting Mark's body and getting Amit's Upshapti and pretty much is saying, let's go make the world a nice place. As every cult leader does. If you hear a cult leader say that, you should run. You should probably get the fuck out of there.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink that Kool-Aid. So now Harrow unleashes his full power of, I guess, his axe or scepter, whatever. I don't know what that is.
I would call it a scepter, probably.
Yeah, I think his Amit scepter, I guess.
Yeah, it looked like a magic wielder's.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was definitely the crocodile bit when it went over like that.
That's cool.
So, and the axe head. So it was cool. We see him at, I guess you could say, 100%.
But does he ever use it as an axe? Kind of.
It's more of polearm staff.
Yeah, he just kind of beats
I mean, he hits people. So we move on, and Harrow, or actually before that, Hera Jesus Christ, I'm losing myself. So before we get to the next scene is Layla manages to take out one of the guys and manages to join up with the cult, which I guess nobody decided to do a head count and check to make sure everybody who was there is on their side. But comic book villains, they don't think of everything. So they get into this kind of like blockade, and Harrow just completely does like this mass judgment. Where he just like all the soldiers there are just immediately judged, and it's the same scenario if you get judged normally. If you're you're either part of the Amit Club or you're not, and if you're not, you're dead.
Yep. And one soldier survived, and boy did he make the right choice of joining up with them. I feel like a fly just landed on my head.
It did just fly on you. So and then as Layla is about to kill Harrow, Taweret actually possesses the dead soldiers' bodies to try and tell her, first of all, don't do the stupid shit.
It's so funny because it's her voice.
This
man soldier zombie.
I know, it was like this
don't
big.
Do it, Layla!
Don't do it, Layla! Got like the big ass mustache too and everything, and tells her that she needs to go into the Chamber of the Gods to free Khonshu, so that when Mark does make it, if Mark makes it back to the land of the living, then Khonshu can pretty much save his life again.
Yeah.
And hints at, and you can be my avatar. Comics. And as Harrow breaks into the Chamber of the Gods and does a battle with the Enneads that we do not see. No. I mean, I guess they were probably going on a budget or something, but
this is.
We don't see the Enneads avatars. We don't see them go in the battle, not the actual gods. And Layla decides to search the chamber to try and find Khonshu. And now, finally, in the Chamber of the Gods, Harrow releases Amit, and we get our first look at Amit after all this talk. And she is a big ass crocodile lady,
Crocodile,
who is flat. Nothing against the actor. I just think you were flat in this. It's your only episode. This is personal preference. I am not insulting her skills. I've looked at what she's done. I haven't seen any of what she's done. I just thought she was a little flat. She talked like this and expected to give authority. There's a little more to it. But anyways,
I get what you're saying. She was a little soft the whole time.
Yes, thank you. That's probably
didn't really change the mood of when she was saying things. So every
I
single thing was
I didn't
the same
feel
mood.
she was an Egyptian god who would kill everybody. She was just talking like and I guess that was just how they chose or whatever. But it wasn't
and
my.
There was some weird voice effect over it too.
Yeah, there was a little
because she's a big booming god, so it didn't feel right.
Yeah, so now we're showing that Harrow pretty much submits himself to Amit and is pretty much willing to give his life to her. So this is the point where like you really test that person's character.
Oh yeah, he is.
He is a believer.
He is leader of this cult, and he is a firm believer of the cult that he is leading.
Yeah, like she tells him is like your scales are unbalanced, and he's just like, well, then I'm a bad person, so kill me. It was like, well, not yet. I can use you. Yeah. Which creates the whole argument. Is like, you have to spare the world of the things I would do. It's like, no, I'll just use you for my stuff. I was like, wait, no, that's, no. Yes. So ultimately, Layla does find Khonshu and releases him. And Khonshu tries to take Layla as his next avatar. Layla says, nah to that shit. And
she's very smart.
Yeah, no, she is very smart. And pretty much just tells her there has to be another way. And Khonshu is just like, there is no other way. And just yeets and tries to stop Amit. Now, ultimately, we are cut to the next scene where Mark is standing in the field of reeds. And Taweret is pretty much explaining that his scales are balanced and that he can be at peace here. This is I guess their equivalent of heaven at that point or whatever.
Yeah,
You're just at peace.
Yeah, it's just basically
I don't want to be at peace in a field of reeds. That looks boring as fuck. The scenery looks good, but I mean, I don't know if that's something I'd want to just look at for the rest of eternity.
He would need his computer there.
I would need a computer, you know, I mean, maybe have it at, like, my back or something. Like, it'd make a great screenshot. But that's it's a little much for me. Anyways, so she's telling him, you know, that piece, but Steven is doomed to the duat. And that, just telling Mark, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. Just enjoy the peace. But Mark says, none of that shit. And instead he turns his back to the the Field of Reeds and goes in search of Steven, so that because he can't be at peace while Steven's suffering out there. He can't be at peace with that. Nope. Which, in, you know, fucking superhero fashion, that's what they do. And Mark,
I mean, Steven is a huge part of his life, too.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah,
like Mark understood how big of a part Steven is to him without Steven understanding Mark is a part of him, you know?
Yeah. Steven pretty much has become Mark's new brother.
Yes.
It was his coping mechanism, but he has become his brother. You know, he's there, he understands everything now. He's the pat on the back. So ultimately, Mark finds Steven and he saves him. He gives him the speech. He tells him why he can't abandon him and everything. And as they are both about to turn into sand, into the duat, the gates of Osiris open and they're both saved.
Yep.
And so they try it, and short story start there. They make it to the fucking gates and they come back to life.
And then Khonshu's like, "Oh shit, Mark!" Later. And
Khonshu tries to fight Amit. He gets bodied a little bit. She tries to smack him one. He senses Mark's return and goes, yeet!
He's gone.
Which, I mean, fair enough. So pretty much, we cut back to Amit's tomb with Mark coming back, getting a really decent shot of Mark getting the Moonknight armor.
Yep.
And then Mark and Steven meet up with Khonshu and they decide on what's going on, or what the deal is now. And pretty much the deal is, they deal with Amit. He and Steven are no longer the Moon Knight. They don't want him in his life. Khonshu pretty much says, fuck it, fine, let's go. And they are off. And, let's see, where was I? I lost myself again. Here we go. Layla discovers, back in the Chamber of the Gods, Layla discovers the only way to stop Amit is to bind her in a mortal body, making her vulnerable, and ask Tawradet's help to become her temporary avatar.
And Tara completely agreed to temporary terms. Like, oh, of course.
Oh yeah,
girl,
she's like, oh yeah. It was like, and she tells like how she knows her dad and everything. It's like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's
your dad will be so happy.
I know.
Which kind of, now that I think about it, kind of throws off that fact that he was supposedly, like in the comics, how her dad was.
Oh the avatar before. Yeah.
He'll be so happy because he was her avatar at one point, essentially.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
If it's true or not, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's just speculation.
I think it was more of when Tawadet was transferring him to the Field of Reeds.
Yeah, but at the same time,
yeah, it could be that. I mean, it's like they talking to each other, but you know, Tawadet's a cool.
Yeah, she's a cool hippo.
She's a cool hippo.
There ain't no other hippos like her.
Yeah, right.
No.
She saved Mark and Steven at the gates of Osiris. She all right.
I liked her. I liked her actress that played her too.
Yeah, it was definitely different. It was kind of a British accent, I guess. I don't know. It was sassy. It was a sassy hippo goddess.
She's perfect for it.
Yeah, she really was. So now Amit begins her assault on Cairo, and Khonshu punishes those. Mark and Khonshu make it back, and the battle begins. So Khonshu pretty much becomes a giant kaiju and starts fighting Amit, and Mark starts fighting Harrow through the air, again with the moon cape, and while switching between Mark and Steven.
So yeah, we basically got Godzilla, but in Egypt, with Egyptian gods.
Yeah, and then I guess Mark was going to get smacked by the cane ones, Layla comes in her avatar suit and joins in on the fight, and we get actually
Scarab.
I don't know. I don't think I hear them say the name.
I think that's what it was in the comics. Scarlet Scarab.
So I mean, yeah, it would make sense. I don't know where you would get that out of that costume because she just looks like an Egyptian version of the Red Falcon, Scarlet Scarab.
I don't know if scarab beetles actually fly or not, but they might.
I think they have wings. So we get actually a really cool fight scene, and one thing that was cool was seeing Steven as the Mr. Knight, and he was actually able to throw some punches now and do all his bits.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool because they were switching off from one another. It was like Steven would fight, and then it would call for Mark, and then just back and forth. Like there's a shot where I think Steven gets thrown through a wall, and then Mark shoots like a grappling hook at Harrow. But Harrow dodges, but then Mark does the grapple hook kick.
Yep.
That we've seen 100 times.
Yep.
In Batman video games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's still cool. It's still cool to see. The fight itself was actually pretty cool, but at the end of it, we also get our shout out at an Egyptian superhero. So I guess technically the Scarlet Scarab is their first Egyptian hero? I don't know. Mark isn't Egyptian, so...
No, he's not.
So you can't say for him. I mean, he looks Egyptian. But anyways, it's more towards Layla being the first superhero.
I don't know what he is, huh?
Yeah, right? One thing, though, is Mark is about to lose to Harrow, and then he blacks out, and then we just look to just fucking Harrow and his men just got fucking bodied.
Yep.
By who the hell knows what, because Mark just goes, "That wasn't you, was it, Steven?" And Steven just goes, "Nope." So again, another reference to Jake.
Yeah.
So at this point, if you had told me nothing about Jake, I would have thought maybe that could have been Khonshu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that could have been Khonshu. But now that I think about it, on this point, it couldn't have been Khonshu because he was currently fighting Amit.
Yep.
Ultimately, Harrow's beaten, so Mark and Layla take Harrow's body, still alive, to the Chamber of the Gods, and they seal Amit into the Harrow's body. Khonshu tells Mark to kill Harrow and Amit, and Layla says that he has a choice, and to not listen to Khonshu, because Khonshu is a dick.
Yep.
And ultimately, the deal's been done. Amit's been beaten, and Mark and Steven tell Khonshu to piss off at this point.
Yep, Mark doesn't want to protect the Travelers of the Night anymore.
Yeah, no, because, Khonshu is a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as soon as that scene ends, we immediately cut back to Dr. Harrow.
This was so confusing.
Legit, this threw me off. So it's just, we're sitting
I thought
back.
I was actually getting that ending. I was like, oh wait, are we actually getting that ending?
Yeah, I was thinking, oh.
I'm glad we didn't, but...
Yeah, I'm a little glad we didn't. I thought we were. But then we get just fucking Oscar Isaac flexing with his acting skills because he switches between Steven and Mark.
Like at a drop of a dime.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, I was impressed with it. Thank you. I was really impressed with just him being able to do that because... I'm able to do some stuff like that, but just with my voices that I'm able to do. Mm-hmm. But still, it's just it was smooth.
It was very smooth.
It was very smooth. And then ultimately they realize the asylum is not reality. It is all in their head because Harrow is the shoes are bleeding because he walks on with glass in his feet, and they never explain that because he's a cult leader. And we wake up, and now Mark and Steven are one, and they're living in the apartment building.
Yep, together.
And then we cut to black.
And then credits.
More credits. Lots of credits.
Harrow getting taken out of the insane asylum by who
we're
knows
showing,
who.
Yeah, we're showing another insane asylum. But this point, we see Harrow is in a wheelchair, and the fucking peanut gallery needs to shut the hell up because we're almost done with this episode. So ultimately, and then we were shown that Harrow, he kind of spills something over, and he was about to get taken care of when some figure speaking Spanish just takes him. And then Harrow's looking around the hallways as he's getting dragged out. And you just see a bunch of bodies, and he gets thrown into like a white limousine, and in the limousine was Khonshu, wearing what looked like the Mr. Knight suit.
Yeah, right.
And then Khonshu just explains that he never wanted Layla. Mm-hmm. Mark always assumed that he wanted Layla, but he never wanted Layla because Khonshu already had who he wanted. And then we are given the introduction to Jake Lockley. Confirmed!
And then that's the end of the show.
And then he kills Harrow.
Yeah.
And then we show the Spectre on the limousine with the Spectre license plate. And then it's the end of the show.
Yes. Which, yeah, overall, I mean, that final episode...
I liked it. I liked the fight.
The fight was cool, but overall, it was okay to me, I guess. I don't know. It was knowing that it was the last episode, knowing that I want more in Moon Knight, and knowing that after looking, that as of right now, there's no contract for him to continue as Moon Knight, which they can always change out, of course. Contracts are easily rewritten up and everything. But as of right now, there's no plans for a season 2. There's no plans for a movie. And it looks like they're not even planning cameos with him right now, which I get because a lot of the people he cameos with we're not focusing on right now. So he can very well come back later. I really thought they were setting up Shadow Knight. I thought I was going to see Shadow Knight at the end here. I kind of started feeling like maybe Harrow was actually his brother and he just never realized.
Yeah, they were playing a little bit with that, but he was older.
Yeah.
So
that we know.
Yeah, that we're aware of. But I mean, ultimately it was a finale for me. So for someone who pretty much at the beginning of this didn't know much of anything on Moon Knight, I enjoyed the series. And one thing that can be said for the Marvel TV shows, that can be said for the Marvel TV shows, is that no one show is like the other.
No, they're not. They're all different genres.
They're all different. They all have different characters, and they don't follow the same plot. And I appreciate that because it makes me, if not excited, curious enough to watch whatever comes next. So,
Which is Ms. Marvel?
Yeah, like Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk.
Ms. Marvel kind of looks like that teen Netflix drama, kind of, but I'll still watch it.
I mean, that's the thing, though. So, like, with Marvel, they have a plan, usually. So, I'm just curious to see where this thread leads to. You know what I mean?
So, this one was considered limited series.
Yeah.
Whereas, and it didn't really build up to anything major, in the Marvel Universe. The only thing it really did is kind of announce to us that there are other pantheons of gods, which is going to be very important for Gore the God Butcher because he's got some gods to butcher.
Right. That was another thing I was thinking of, too, that maybe they were just introducing us to more of the gods, like we might see Osiris or any of them from the Ennead. We might even see Khonshu again. Who the hell knows? But
we for sure, for that movie, we for sure got the Greek. We for sure got, obviously, the Norse. But there is also a screenshot now. If this is real or not, I don't know. But there's a picture that shows Jane Foster, Valkyrie, and Basset or whatever, the Panther God, sitting next to each other. So that might be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what happens. I remember what you told me with Gore the Butcher and why, because he's pretty much the reason why Thor loses Mjolnir, right?
Yes.
So, and that's where Jane Foster gets the hammer and all that. So I don't know if that's what they're going to do with this. It looks like they're doing something more of Mjolnir getting reforged
and going to her instead.
Yeah, because I mean, Thor doesn't really need Mjolnir,
and he's not really worthy right now. He is a stoner right now, hanging out with Star-Lord.
He got rid of his Endgame body. He looks like he's just stealing shit from the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't even know how that relationship's going. I don't think Star-Lord likes his ass.
He's sleeping in their basement smoking pot all the time. And Star-Lord's done with him. But anyways, we were on Moon Knight, but yeah.
Yeah, no, actually this leads into it still, so we're technically not wrong.
Fair.
So, I mean, in future, in whatever project, this will undoubtedly show something of, because I mean Marvel even like obscure if it comes late like fucking Black Widow, they still have some kind of plan because they still showed A, her sister, and B, that end credits whatever her name was. For me, was the first show that didn't have that obvious they're setting something up for the future, because WandaVision, they're obviously setting stuff up there
for Doctor Strange too.
They're setting it up for Doctor Strange. They're setting it up for the Marvels by giving what's her name her powers, basically. So the other Captain Marvel, essentially. And then with Loki, Loki introduced the multiverse.
And Kang.
Yeah, and Kang. So that was the one that showed who the next big bad's going to be.
They kind of showed all that there, and then what we got, Falcon and Winter Soldier just basically set up for Captain America 4.
Yeah, which I mean, it's fine because it's that in between where we get to see, we see how he accepts the role of Captain America in a damn good costume, and well done. I will say this again, well done to the costume crew for that one.
Is that all the shows?
No, there's also Hawkeye.
Echo, which they've already announced a show, and Kingpin was in it.
Yeah,
which is a big setup for all the major,
for
Netflix
anything.
stuff.
Yeah, for anything related to New York at this point.
Yeah, so they set up stuff there, and then you got Moon Knight, where
Moon Knight was its own.
They didn't really set anything up with it. They introduced the gods.
They introduced the gods, and they introduced that there's more than just Doctor Strange magic out there.
Mm-hmm. They did.
Now, as for what they where he would show up, maybe in this newly announced Daredevil show.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's the plan where they'll just throw everyone from the Netflix series or all these other ones and kind of have their own central. If they can't get movies, then they'll be more of the central force of the shows. You know what I mean?
I really hope we get more Luke Cage shows because I know people didn't like it, but I actually like those shows a lot.
I did. I liked the shows too. I didn't care for Iron Fist too much. The writing needed a little work for that.
The ending of that show, just what the hell with the guns and the no. I didn't like that. Didn't care for that at all. I didn't care about the other shit that happened, but the guns at the end, what the fuck was that? I didn't care for that.
Yeah. So I mean, but like we've said at the beginning of all this, Moon Knight is such a weird character to introduce. Yeah. So I don't know ultimately what they can do with this guy.
Yeah, from my research and what I've looked at, there is a point where he has magic powers and moon powers and all that shit from Khonshu.
Dana, shush.
But then there is a point where he eventually just becomes Batman because he loses his powers and stuff, and he's just running around in the Moon Knight suit, shooting people and throwing moonerangs at people, and grappling hooking around the city and crap, and flying with a crescent moon cape. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't look like it flies.
Magic, baby.
All right.
Anyways, so those were the episodes. As a whole, if you're looking for something different, especially if you're getting a little tired with just what Marvel's been doing on the show-wise, it's a different show.
Oh, it's a different show.
If they didn't say Marvel for the most part, because I don't think there was anything MCU related in this.
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was. I'm sorry. There were a few things. I apologize.
There was the ad on the bus when he's fighting the Jackal, which is from Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's the post snap reclamation group.
Yeah, and then there's the I just had it.
Black Panther.
Ancestral
Planes.
Yeah, all right, never mind. But other than those two things,
they were very minor.
Yeah, they were very minor. Yeah, there was even the Ancestral Plane was just oh, it's gorgeous, and that was it. That was the mention of it. So moving on, I think it's a little important to talk about just how we felt about all these characters.
Yeah.
So starting off with, you could really just call the star of the show, Oscar Isaac, who played Steven / Mark / Jake, but he was also Moon Knight / Mr. Knight / Jake.
Yeah, he killed it.
He
was a great choice. I was questioning the choice at first, just because I was like, okay, I saw him in Star Wars, I saw him as Poe, and I'm like, okay, I get that he didn't get a chance to kind of shine in that, and so I was worried. I was like, I don't know enough about Moon Knight, but I don't know if he's going to be a good Moon Knight. And the rumors of Keanu Reeves playing Moon Knight forever was just going around forever, but I'm glad he did.
He's already Constantine.
That's DC. Let's get out of here. Anyways, I liked Oscar Isaac as all 6 of those people.
Yeah.
We got Steven, Mark, Jake, Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, Jake again.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar Isaac just he kicked a lot of ass with this role. He put in 110%, and he made each one. It didn't sound like phony or anything to it. It just sounded like the character, who that character was. And like I said at the end of that last episode, where he just did that switch between Mark and Steven, it was great.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
And then there's Jake at the end there that I can't really comment too much on because he's just speaking Spanish and shoots Hero. So I mean,
Yep, please God.
turns out, I mean, we found out that Oscar Isaac was Guatemalan, so
Yeah.
which I had no idea. I thought, I was like, maybe is he British? No, he's not British. So that was fun to know. But yeah, Oscar Isaac did a great job. Ethan Hawke as Arthur Harrow, again, another just big actor among actors.
Yep, and he's one that basically they asked him, hey, do you want to be in Moon Knight? And he's like, sign here, and I don't even need to read the script. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's because it's Ethan Hawke is more of the actor, like as I told you earlier, is someone who will pick something because of who's a part of it.
Which the director and actor are apparently good friends of his.
Yeah,
already,
Oscar.
so.
I think Oscar Isaac and Mohammed I'm sorry, man. I don't know. I can't say it as I don't remember it. Anyways, but yeah, he did a great job. He was a great cult leader.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great cult leader in Ned Flanders.
Oh yeah.
May Kalamawi, who played Layla. I liked her fine.
Yeah, I did.
There were some stupid moments, as I said.
I didn't like her character too much, but it wasn't because of the actress at all.
Yeah, she wasn't the focus.
Yeah.
It's cool to say she wasn't the focus a little bit. She was passable. I didn't hate her as much. She didn't bother me that much, except with that last bit where she decides to bring up the personal shit now.
Yeah, right? And that was like the whole point of her character for the majority of the season was just to kind of be there and have Steven kind of question everything.
Yeah, I mean,
weird.
she was the love interest, but in good nowadays fashion, she was someone who can. She's a love interest, but she's smart. She can throw a punch. She can throw a kick and everything. She was fine. She played her role.
Yeah, pretty much.
Moving on to F. Murray Abraham, who was the voice of Khonshu.
Oh, he nailed it.
And yeah, he was a dick.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen F. Murray. If you haven't heard the name, I'm sure you've seen him in something. Austin, I doubt you've seen this, but if you've ever watched 13 Ghosts, he plays the uncle in that, which is a stupid horror movie, but it's going to be one to be funny to watch with your wife. Yeah. Then we have the other two gods, Antonia Salinas, who played Tawaret, who was funny. She was very charming, as we had said before. And then Saba Mubarak, who played Amit, who I don't know her style. I just personally thought like it was a little
It didn't
flat.
fit the character.
Yeah. Now that's like, which is weird because I've seen them do something like that before for like reptiles, like that same tone.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. Is that reptile?
I've seen them
tone.
do that same thing but it's like for like crocodiles. I don't remember where it was, but I've seen them do that, and I don't know why, because I just feel like it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work for me. But I mean, she was only there for that one episode, so again, she served her purpose.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, Amit's gone. But that was the end of that.
Until comic books bring her back.
Always. They'll find a way.
So that was the end of Moon Knight. Sean, how if you had to give it out of 10, what would you mark it as?
I give it a 7. I would give it it's passing. It's something worth watching, but it was just kind of all over the place. There's a lot of just confusion throughout the scenes, and overall, it just didn't click with me like the other Marvel shows did.
Yeah, one of the things that now that I think about it was kind of both a benefit and a curse from it was because I don't know where this falls in the MCU, where that's going to be in the plan right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this as the same reason why, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I would say watch Loki and even more so WandaVision.
You don't even need to watch Loki for that one.
Yeah, I mean, Loki not too much, but WandaVision for sure. Yeah. Loki is just so you understand more of the multiverse. They go more into the multiverse in that show.
Yeah, but you don't need it. Loki had no implications for that.
No, but it was more of the well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But yeah, so right now, it's entertaining. It's an entertaining show, but I agree with you. I think 7 out of 10 is a fair number because there were just some bits like in episode 3 and 4 where it dragged.
I would be maybe give me a couple more episodes and
I think like one or two, yeah.
Moon Knight stuff going on, but
yeah. So, and you had mentioned this before that people were comparing it to the problem that we had with the Book of Boba Fett, and I say this, I say it's on the same aisle, but not quite as extreme.
Yeah,
because we didn't just switch over from go see like
what Thor's up to for 2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And what he's talking to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It just wasn't just immediately and then ultimately added to the story. We still followed Steven/Mark.
I still would have liked to see more Moon Knight.
I agree. I think we should have, especially with episode 3 and 4, they should have played more with the suit and everything, but it just seems like they were focusing more on the characters. Either way, I'm curious, as I am always with these Marvel properties, to see what happens.
If anything happens.
If anything, or if Moon Knight is just going to follow the tradition that is Moon Knight and just be another on and off character throughout the fucking rest of creation.
Yeah, he's probably going to follow that route. But hey, that's fine. That's
that's fine. I'm sure Oscar Isaac is ready for that call.
Only so much room for characters in Marvel and everything. I mean,
yeah, well, and people are gonna. If people will see it, they'll still make it.
Like you have an episode of Luke Cage where he shows up, no problem. And,
yeah, exactly. Like we already established. They've already established that he's shown up in other properties before.
We could even get to a point where they do one-off episodes or something that are just little mini adventures, real quick. Like, oh hey, Rhino's rampaging through New York. Here comes Spider-Man swinging in, but also Moon Knight's coming in to help him. Well,
it's not even just that. You could just have something be like where the Natural History Museum gets robbed from the Cairo exhibit, and it turns out it's someone stole the scepter of Harrow, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Moon Knight comes in and he says, I'm not going to let that shit happen.
There's so much that they
Very
can do.
Saturday morning, weekend.
They can do something like that and people would watch.
Absolutely.
They just continuously, every Saturday morning, release a new episode on Disney Plus. People will stay constantly subscribed forever until that stops or it just becomes complete garbage, which... Just keep doing what you guys are doing.
Which ultimately has some, like what they do with all comic books at this point now, is have something to do with the main book. Which we are now in the new book, which the last book was the Infinity War saga.
Yep.
So now we're in the Multiverse Wars or Secret, whatever the hell those.
We're not quite sure where
it is. I'm spouting there.
As of right now, we know Kang is going to be a big bad for whatever. He could be the midpoint. He could be the end point. We don't know yet. So
I think he's going to be bad. I think they build him up pretty good in Loki. We'll see.
Well, he's going to be the villain in Ant-Man and Wasp next.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're going to use him there. I can see him being like a midpoint bad guy and then moving on to Doom or Galactus even.
I would like to see Doom. I think Doom would be a good one. Yeah. Watch him use Galactus or just aim him.
Yeah, right. But anyways,
or just have or that fucking whatever that shadow creature from Loki was that just eats the variants.
Ilotha or whatever.
Yeah, Ilotha or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Watch that just be something of the same caliber as Galactus.
Oh, Jesus.
Actually, after seeing that thing and the Eternals, I'm curious to see what an MCU Galactus could look like. I think they could make him look pretty cool.
They could, yeah. They definitely could.
Just don't give him the human face.
Give him the human face.
Don't give him the human face.
It's super important
for
his character.
No, don't do it. It's so dumb looking.
No, it is super important.
It's super dumb looking. He looks like a tiki head.
Do not change his human face.
No, leave it. No, get rid of it. You don't need They tried that. No.
No, they didn't. They just gave you a fucking
just give us the cool model. Just give us the cool model of Dormammu in the next Doctor Strange.
They gave us a fart cloud last time, and then Dormammu they gave us a fucking grid face from Tron.
Yeah, now smooth it out. You got Galactus.
Just give us Galactus. I mean, it's okay. He could be purple skinned. I don't care. Just give him. He's a living being. He's not a robot.
Well, that's why. Well, I think they could make that look cool.
And
anyways,
he's wearing armor and a costume. He's not just floating around naked, and that's just what he looks like.
All right. Well, anyways, I think that's a good point to leave this on. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And what were your thoughts on Moon Knight? Do you think we should get more? Do you think he's going to show up more? What do you think Marvel's plans are going to be? Let us know in the comments. Have a good one, guys.
Next comes Doctor Strange.
Next is Doctor Strange. Alright. Whew, that was a good episode. I need a breather for a bit. I need water. My belt imprinted in my skin.
Yeah.
That's an hour and a half.